Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy M.K.S here, back in another video. Hope, sorry, I need to repeat myself there. This is obviously part 2 of what I think Italy and France have in common. Please check out part 1 if you haven't already done so, and hope you look out for part 3 as well. And I'll try not to waffle, but I'd love to hear your thoughts as ever, like whether there's any ideas or points I make that you disagree with or agree with, respectively. With that being said, I'm going to try and crack on with my list. And so here goes. As I say, this is continuing on from part 1, where I covered ideas or points 1 to 10. So in this video, hopefully, I'm going to go from points 11 to 20 and hopefully be able to focus, because it's a bit late here in the UK and I've probably left it a bit late. But anyway, I'm a bit biased, obviously, because I think I look Italian or Mediterranean, so that's why I have a bit of a bias towards these countries when it comes to football, even though I'm an anti-imperialist generally. So here goes anyway. Number 11, I would love to look at what both Italy and France have contributed to the world, especially including things like inventions, but as I mentioned in part 1, things like poetry, Renaissance, art, and things like that. And I'm sure they've contributed a lot of things towards things like poetry, literature, and especially art and things like that, and have similar languages and things like that. And France has contributed quite a lot to my favourite sport, really, to be fair. Things like the World Cup, the Jules Rhime, which was made in France, or made by France. I think FIFA was probably made by France as well. Even UEFA, I think, the European governing body. Again, people can fact check me here, because I'm sorry for being too lazy and disorganised and demotivated to again, not managing my time well enough to do the research. But I'm pretty sure FIFA, almost 100% sure the World Cup, and fairly sure UEFA, which is FIFA being the world governing body for football, UEFA being the European governing body for football, and the World Cup also, which is probably the biggest event in football. Some people probably prefer the club team sort of games like the Champions League or things like that, or even the league, the local leagues, especially if they're not into the sort of nationalistic side of football, the patriotic side. But yeah, I think it's still the biggest spectacle. I think over 1 billion people, or even up to 2 billion people or whatever, watch football. And as I love football so much, I'd love to encourage more people to watch it and kick corruption out of football. But yeah, basically, France have contributed to the World Cup, FIFA, I think UEFA, and I think UEFA, and probably 1 or 2 other things to football as well, some great teams. And I think Italy could also learn from like France's diversity, but also probably the football community could appreciate, even people who probably don't even like France so much, could appreciate what France have contributed to football. Like I say, the World Cup, Jules Rime, FIFA, I think, and again UEFA, and I'm sure there was another thing that I've forgotten, which they have contributed to football. And I'd love to learn about again, I'd love to make a partnership between Italy and France, especially for football, like where they can train and practice together, and what they can learn from each other as part of that. And I think Italy has a lot to learn from France, and vice versa in football. And they can learn about each other's cultures as well, and I'm sure they're very similar. If they don't already know a lot about each other's cultures, which I'm sure they do, but they could learn even more perhaps, or those who don't know could learn. Anyway, sorry for waffling. Number 12, I'd love for other people also, to comment about what sort of things they have in common, which I might not have, which I might not include or have included by the time I finished all these. By the time I finish these videos, there might be things that I've forgotten that other people can comment in the comment section, which I might not know or have thought about or whatever. Number 13, as I mentioned in part 1, I think they do have a lot of negative things in common. As an anti-imperialist, I disagree with the imperialism, and prejudice and racism and things like that. But so I do think they have a lot of negative things in common, if I'm honest, or things that I personally and possibly other people wouldn't like. Hence negative stuff in many ways, or I suppose that is debatable. I probably wouldn't like some of the cultural stuff maybe, but you never know. Number 14, again, but at the same time, I do think they do have a lot of positive things, I'm sure, in common, like passion, love, being friendly, arguably, although ironically they can be a bit arrogant, but also they can be friendly. I think people say both Italians and French and Mediterraneans can be friendly when they want to be, or when you get on their good side, when they choose to be, and that sort of thing. Number 15, I'm sure they have similar, again, I probably mentioned this a little bit in part 1, but I'm sure they have similar lifestyles and goals, again, family orientation, and have similar goals in life. I suppose you could say that about most people in the world have similar goals. I think about peace, and unfortunately, like when there's war zones, I think most people disagree with them, but I think it's the powers that be or people at the top who make these sorts of things. And in almost any war zone, you'll find most people don't want these sorts of things. Like I heard an Indian British comedian who did a documentary about India and Pakistan as a side note, and he said that you'll find, even though when he was stood at the border, he said that you'll find in every conflict, most people probably don't want it, but it's just the extremists, or some of them are religious extremists, or some of them are the financial people who benefit from it, who want those things, but most people probably don't want wars or things like that. But yeah, probably most people have similar goals for their family, to be healthy and happy and to live in peace and things like that. But maybe Italy and France have, as Mediterraneans again, have very similar goals and dreams. And I think it'd be interesting to hear from French and Italian people about what their dreams are, what their goals are, or Mediterranean people generally, or people who have been to Italy and or France, and who could talk about what they think they have in common, or what they have different to each other. And they have similar climates as countries as well, and that sort of thing. Number 16, I'd love to find out ways to benefit both Italian football and French football and Celtic as well, and how they can network together, again, learn from each other, and also improve relations politically and look at ways to benefit Italy and France, and again Celtic as well, and maybe the Celts as well, and what I talked about in part 1, Eurasian, transcontinental, Mid-Eastern, and in this case mainly Mediterranean countries as well, and how they can work together politically and play football and sports together as much as possible, especially football, hopefully. Number 17, I'm sure they have similar imaginations and ideas and stories and films and cultures generally and things like that. Number 18, I'd love to hear people talk about things they love about both Italy and France. Again, what they have in common. People who have been to both countries, or learn about both countries, or who are who are interested in both countries. Number 19, and again through these videos, I hope that people will comment, and I will find out more information, like through links, or like Google searches and links about what Italy and France have in common, and maybe encourage other people to make their own videos like this about what they have in common, possibly more interesting than mine. But maybe we can link together and share information or ideas, and collaborate and things like that. And number 20, again, there'll probably be some things I disagree with or don't usually like about, like having to respect your elders, but those are probably found in most cultures, because I think a bit differently. So there's because of that reason, there's probably a lot of things in different cultures that I'm not usually keen on. And when it comes to Italy, I only really like Italy for football. But anyway, hope you enjoyed this video, and hope it didn't waffle too much, and hope you found at least some of the ideas interesting. And again, I'd love to hear different people's opinion, especially those either who have an interest in Italy and or France, or have been to Italy and or France, or can think of anything that I might not have covered that they have in common. And or again, people from Italy or France, or of an Italian or French background. I'd love to hear from you in the comment section, and I am out. Peace and out.